Hollywood seems to have soured on actress Sydney Sweeney following her refusal to address the backlash surrounding her American Eagle jeans commercial and speculation about Maga connections. You are free to support who you want to support and vote for who you want to vote for, but you are not free to hide your hand. Oh, what you got to do is stand on that business. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. Today's nominee, Sydney Sweeney. Now, I would like to hear from my go woke, go broke people. Yeah, where are all my go woke, go broke people? These are like people that go out one day and see that it's raining and come in and say it rains every day. Got all the authority of Benny Johnson on DC culture and people.
DC is not safe. And I can tell you this, as a matter of fact, it is one of the worst, most racist narco states and welfare states imaginable.
Now, I think what they mean is by go woke, go broke, they mean like people that are awake. So like if you, it's really a commentary on the futility of American life, that, the people are not getting what they need to survive. So therefore, as you are navigating our world as an awake person, you're really losing. That's really what they're saying. You will go broke if you're paying attention to right-wing media. I can definitely tell you that. Now you might be wondering how we got here. Now, I let her live before when it came to the American Eagle jeans ad. I let her live. I gave her a little bit of a dragon, but most of my anger and fury were reserved for the people that attempted to amplify it. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
He was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby.
No, that's not the right clip. That's the one where she was making excuses for Epstein.
She's a racist. It was a slow reveal. Like we started to learn, first we found out she doesn't like America. Then we found out on her show she doesn't like her husband, at all. Then we started to find out she's really obsessed with herself. She's somewhat narcissistic. And then we found out she's a racist. She really can't stand white people.
No, that's still not it. That's the one where she came for Michelle Obama within a week of making excuses for Epstein. There's plenty of talk online about echo chambers and the way that certain ideas can get amplified when stuck in a silo of like-minded people. But the controversy earlier this year over American Eagle's Good Genes campaign featuring Sydney Sweeney is an example of how motivated political actors can plug otherwise insulated discourse out of parts of social media and spin it into full-blown drama to serve their own means. And by their own means, we mean white supremacy. That is pretty much what they're using it to serve. Megyn Kelly will use anything to serve. She'll use Santa Claus.
So in Slate, they have a piece on .com. Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. By the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, Santa is what he is, and just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote about it, kids.
According to data collected by open source social intelligence platform Open Measures, pushback against the American Eagle ad campaign, which was criticized as dabbling in eugenics and winking at white supremacists, was a relatively small part of the conversation surrounding the marketing effort. From July 16th to August 12th, just 6% of posts mentioning the ad included mention of its perceived racist undertones. But if you called wind of the discourse about it, you would think that was the only thing anyone was talking about. That, per Open Measures, is because right-wing accounts online spotted some of the backlash and turned it into the story. By July 27th, the researchers found that conservative personalities started to boost selected posts to suggest that liberals were outraged by the ads. The accounts used this to generate backlash against what they painted as the entire left crying racism about a jeans advertisement. But as the Times reported in August, most of the posts that got presented as representative of the larger political ideology had fewer than 500 views before being amplified. Meanwhile, the amplification efforts were being done by accounts like Libs of TikTok, which has 4.5 million followers on Twitter. Now, wait a minute. What you mean to tell me is these right-wing accounts just went searching for these specific posts? They had to have, because I know the less than 500 view posts weren't on their feeds. They went searching for these particular posts and amplified that, making that the story, because they had no other way to try and push their agenda, because nobody was paying attention to the random American Eagle jeans ad. Not to mention the fact that we don't even know who the people are behind the original posts. That could be them, for all we know. And now you understand the right-wing media sphere. Now, at the very minimum, what I can say is at least the people that are consuming this, as damaged as their brains may be at this point, at least the people that were consuming this didn't go off and spend. Oh, they did?
We're in a severe literacy and comprehension crisis in this country, and MAGA is at the center of that crisis.
Where was the outrage over this ad? I mean, can you guys just admit that you hate white people now?
Just come out and say it. Say y'all hate white people. It's okay. Be honest.
Prime example of the rules change depending on who's wearing the jeans.
Y'all, why does this shit sound so familiar, like we've been through this before? Oh, that's right. A couple years ago. Yeah, there it is. I don't remember all this. I don't remember when people decided to lose their ever-loving mind.
So now you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Are you guys not tired of being racist? There are two types of people that are particularly getting on my fucking nerves. The MAGA people who are uneducated, poor. I can make an excuse for them because they're dumb. The other half are those white people who come online being willfully ignorant and obtuse. Is what this Beyonce doctored photo did. This campaign does not exist at all in any capacity. It never said Beyonce has great genes. This was edited, put online just to get this response, and MAGA is eating it the up. These are the same people that say, do your research. What research are you doing? You don't know the difference between a doctored image. You guys said that Anthony Bourdain was Jeffrey Epstein yesterday. Telling me to do my research? But let's talk about eugenics, since your Eagle ad is bad. Eugenics was a common practice in America and the Western world in the early 1900s, basically saying that there are certain humans that have good genes that are the perfect humans, ergo white people. There were forced sterilization laws that were passed in 1907. Sterilizing between 60 to 70,000 people, initially targeting people with disabilities, and later extended to those who were considered morally degenerate or habitual criminals, which disproportionately impacted women and people of color and the poor. Eugenicists played a key role in the early immigration policies in the 1940s, all but limiting European immigration from Eastern and Southern Europe, and all but banned immigration from Asian countries on the belief that these people would pollute the national gene pool. Eugenics played a part in making interracial marriages and procreation illegal, because it was also said that these dirty people or lesser people with lesser genes would ruin the good white genes.
Now I'm curious, what do you do when you have a whole TikTok or Instagram video about a non-existent ad and outing yourself as a racist? What do you quietly delete it? Do you start talking about other non-existent ads? Do you just start making up ads in Photoshop? No, because that's my brand. That's my brand. What I do is I talk about non-existent ad campaigns. That's what my channel. That's what I do on my channel. So if you have a campaign you want to make up, I will address it, in video format. That's what I do.
You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
Now, in the midst of all of that, people went prying into Sydney Sweeney's political affiliation, and her voter registration was revealed. And you know what? I still let her live. Sydney Sweeney's Republican voter registration revealed amid jeans ad controversy. Revelation comes amid public fixation on American Eagle's ad featuring the star and a pun about her jeans. Sydney Sweeney registered as a Republican voter in Florida a few months before Donald Trump won a second U.S. presidency. The Euphoria and White Lotus star registered on the 14th of June, 2024, shortly after buying a mansion in the Keys, and listed her party affiliation as Republican. Now, I don't know her personally, so I'm not going to make her perceived magadom my problem. She got to work that out with the people around her, that may or may not have an issue for her supporting a regime and agenda that challenges their right to live. She got to handle that. Sydney Sweeney's Hollywood support crumbles as stars turn on her amid MAGA rumors. Hollywood seems to have soured on actress Sydney Sweeney following her refusal to address the backlash surrounding her American Eagle jeans commercial and speculation about MAGA connections. One thing I will say, though, is you are free to support who you want to support and vote for who you want to vote for. But you are not free to hide your hand. Oh, what you got to do is stand on that business. Because way back in 2022, Sydney Sweeney responded to backlash for sharing family event photos where an attendee was wearing a Blue Lives Matter shirt and others were sporting parody MAGA hats, saying, "You guys, this is wild. An innocent celebration for my mom's milestone 60th birthday turned into an absurd political statement, which was not the intention. Please stop making assumptions. Much love to everyone and happy birthday, Mom." So are we free to make assumptions based on your voter registration? Would that be a fair assumption to make? It's okay. There's millions of people that support MAGAdom and Blue Lives Matter. I'm just trying to figure out why you're seemingly ashamed of an association that apparently is accurate. What would that be about? What would it be about that you don't see fit to stand on who you have been revealed to be? I will just say, I think Sydney Sweeney is an idiot and not bright. With that, I do believe she knows she's being used by MAGA and refused to disavow it because it gives her attention. Now, all throughout the whole American Eagle controversy, she was pretty quiet. She did refuse to disavow it. But all throughout this, up to this point, I let her live. But it was that GQ interview where I knew she had to come down and collect her racist of the week.
I did a Jane ad, and my silence is actually what benefits everyone that has put money behind me, so I benefit from remaining aloof publicly, even though I do know that my silence helps the patriarchy and the white supremacists that back me and support me because they have dollars to spend and they don't care that I make ethically questionable choices like dating Scooter Braun and you know, pushing forward a message of eugenics in a time when people of color are more endangered than possibly ever. But I think by choosing to remain aloof, I can get those men in power to look at my body and continue to give me money, so. But I thought when the president mentioned my name, that was surreal. But I put my phone away too, because mental health and boundaries.
I don't think that was the clip. No, because she sounded worse in the actual, that she actually sounded better and looked better, dare I say. She actually sounded and looked better in that one than she actually did.
I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt like every day of my life.
Jeans are uncontroversial. Jeans are awesome.
Yeah, I like your jeans.
You look great in your jeans. I think I know how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. I mean, the president tweeted about the jeans ad, or Truth Socialed about the jeans ad, and that just seems to me like a very crazy moment for anyone, and I wondered what that was like.
It was surreal.
It was surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be totally human. I would probably feel like thankful that somebody had my back in public, you know, and conveniently some very powerful people had my back in public. And I wondered if you felt that way.
I don't think that, it's not that feeling I didn't have that feeling, but I wasn't thinking of it like that, or like of any of it. I kind of just put my phone away. I was filming every day. I'm filming Euphoria, so I'm working like 16-hour days, and I don't really bring my phone on set, so I work and then I go home and I go to sleep. So I didn't really see a lot of it.
You've made a really good case for keeping your thoughts and your life separate from that work. But the risk is that, you know, there's a chance that somebody will get some idea about what you think about certain issues and feel like, I don't want to see Christy because of that. Like, do you worry about that?
No.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
So apparently, the amplified white supremacy didn't rise to the level of something that I care about. Apparently, the ramifications of eugenics for people around her does not rise to the level of things that I care about. And the gas that it gives people like Megyn Kelly and libs of TikTok to continue to push their agenda doesn't rise to the level of things that I care about. Now, she's been famous for a minute now. This is not her first rodeo. So I'm going to give her the credit and the benefit of not having bungled or mishandled this and expressed herself exactly as she chose to, because she had to have known that that question was going to be on the table. She had to have known that most of the conversation surrounding her has been about this. As absurd as her whole thing about, oh, well, you know, I was working. Yeah. Well, apparently you were able to accept and respond to American Eagle. So I'm assuming the president and what he has to say, the ramifications therein, might rise to the level of American Eagle, right? And get your attention.
Actress Sydney Sweeney came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
That who was?
Sydney Sweeney, she's like a very hot actress right now.
She's
a registered Republican? Oh, now I love her ad.
Because I can tell you this, pretty much nowhere in the history of life has somebody said, hey, turn off the president because there's an American Eagle ad on Fox. But I'm supposed to believe that's how it went down.
Sydney Sweeney sat down with GQ to finally do an interview addressing her controversial American Eagles jeans ad. And a lot of people are coming on the internet now and proving they didn't even watch the full 20-minute interview because it's so much worse than just the ad speaks for itself. It was a complete train wreck from start to finish, and a lot of people aren't even talking about some of the worst things she said in it. But I did watch the whole thing, and I want to recap it here for you today as I go through my older sister's makeup chores. So as always, make sure you like, rage, comment, repost, and follow along for more. Okay, just kidding. I don't know what this does. For starters, she showed up looking very intentionally like this, dressed down, minimal makeup, hair looking like she hasn't even bothered to touch it, and she made a lot of jokes saying like, oh, I thought about coming to my PJs because I always come to these kinds of things in my PJs. But for you guys, I decided to go through the effort of putting on clothes, which thank you so much. I can't find other interviews in which you've showed up in your PJs, but sure. She's intentionally setting the tone that she's super chill, cool, and doesn't care about anything. They then talk about her new fighting movie in which she talks about how she did do martial arts growing up as a kid and she was the only girl doing it against a bunch of boys. And the interviewer highlights specifically that a lot of the work she's been doing recently focuses on DV and topics surrounding that. And she says, yes, directly, I will always speak out about something that's important to me. And that's the quote that begins to set the tone for the rest of the interview. They go on to talk about how she is still single now. Some people point out that the interviewer just seems like she wants to be her friend, but sometimes that is an interviewing tactic to try and get her to open up more later, because eventually she says, okay, let's stop dancing around the topic that we're actually here to discuss, right? Which is the jeans ad. And that's an important note too, because Sydney and her team know why they're there. They probably got the questions beforehand, yet she continues to respond saying, I did a jeans ad. I love jeans. Like I wear jeans and a t-shirt all the time, like gaslighting and playing dumb, pretending they have no idea what she's talking about. They're clearly getting nothing out of her at this point. The interviewer then asks her how she felt essentially when Donnie put out that message supporting her. And at first she was like, it was surreal. The interviewer essentially asks her to elaborate on that. And you see her stop for a long time, pause, and realize what she said. Then she deflects and she's like, well, I wasn't really on my phone. I was working a lot. I didn't really think about it at all. And she doesn't say how she felt about it. And then the interviewer pushes back on this again. She says, is there anything you want to say? And Sydney says, it speaks for itself. And the interviewer clarifies, okay, you think the ad speaks for itself. And she goes on to directly explain the YT supremacy themes and why there's so much controversy directly to her so that she can't keep dodging it. And after all that, the interviewer says, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that, right? To address all that. And Sydney directly responds, when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear. End the interview with her saying directly, I'm way more aware of things than people think. I like to let the art speak for itself. So I think the two biggest takeaways from this, are you aware or aren't you? Because you fed us both narratives in this interview. Two, after highlighting that she doesn't like to be vocal on issues and then lazing Donnie subtly, she says, if there's anything that I want to speak on, I'm going to. And she has been silent since, I don't know, forever.
Sydney Sweeney's entire GQ interview answers were strategic. Over half the country is MAGA. It's not a rep versus Dem issue. It's about her dog whistling to white supremacists. Sometimes people don't need the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes they know exactly what they're doing. And apparently, those dog whistles work quite well now, don't they? I watched pretty much the entire Sydney Sweeney GQ interview and I have so many thoughts. First, people do not give this girl enough credit for the level of psychic groundedness and perceptiveness she has to be navigating this highly adversarial landscape towards her so gracefully. Second, the interviewer kept trying to bait her to defend herself to the vitriol that was being said about her online. Oh, we got one. Sounds like we got one. Hey, check her account and see if she has any videos going off about the Beyonce ad. I knew it. I knew it. And apparently, these dog whistles work for black MAGAs too.
It's no longer up for debate. Sydney Sweeney is a white supremacist. Y'all are so corny, bro. In this political climate, you probably shouldn't be. What political climate? It's 2025. This whole entire situation started out as a straw man. Y'all tell hippos they have great genes every day, but one person from European descent says that they believe they have great genes and the whole world blows up? We've got an interviewer asking about something that happened 6 months ago. And now we've got you parasocial idiots acting as if this lady has to publicly denounce white supremacy because y'all made it about that. She don't gotta say anything. It'd be one thing if the lady asked, Sydney, are you a white supremacist? And she went, but that's not what happened. Let's stop acting like we haven't seen interviewers test the waters and try to get clicks to boost their career. And let's stop acting like these people have to answer their bait questions. So you think you're pretty and genetically fortunate? You must be a white supremacist. No, there are so many other pretty people out there and you failed to mention them. Why didn't you say everybody's genes were good?
You know, I start to see what the appeal might be. Not to be a black MAGA, but to have a black MAGA around you. Because they ask for so little. They ask for so little. Just to have somebody in your circle that doesn't even request a basic level of respect and consideration. How hard is it to denounce white supremacy? How hard do you think that is, Black MAGA? Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the issue. They must feel like it is such a high mountain to climb to denounce white supremacy when regular folk do it every day. Maybe it's a condition that they have, you know. It's something about it that I get why they don't do it, but also they see it as an impossible thing for regular people to do.
They're eating Sydney Sweeney up. Have you seen?
Here's the question. Is she playing into it or is she just that much of a bitch?
No. Here's what I think. Okay, so class, if you haven't seen, Sydney Sweeney did an interview with GQ because she is promoting her new movie, Christie.
Which flopped.
Which flopped, but this is, I think, related. I think all this is related. So she's doing her press run. She's sitting down with the interviewer from GQ, and the woman tees her up perfectly.
I mean,
she says,
she basically said, here's a cherry, open your mouth.
She said, all you got to do is say you don't agree with the White House, you know, taking up for you, whatever. She basically said a lot of people are upset about this ad. They sense these racial undertones with the great genes of it all. And then the White House, you know, they took up for you. How do you feel? And Sydney Sweeney was like, whatever.
She literally said, I mean, when I have something to say about something, I'll say it.
When I have something to say. And she just has this like deadpan look on her face, whatever. And what do you think about the White House, you know, sharing and saying that they love you and they love the ad? She was like, it was crazy. Whatever. Nothing. And to the point about the Christie movie flopping, I don't really know much about this boxer. But what I've since learned is that she is a queer woman and she went through domestic violence and she was like hiding her sexuality. And it's like a very powerful story that does not appeal to this right wing audience that Sydney Sweeney is essentially courting.
Yes.
And has been courting. They don't want to go see a feminist empowerment
woman boxing
movie.
Well, I can tell you this, Sydney Sweeney. That ad didn't go unnoticed, nor did your interview. There's only one thing left for you to do now. Sydney Sweeney might as well go all in for MAGA. That soft launch into the right-wing influencer sphere isn't inspiring them to buy tickets to her movies, and everyone else has already clocked her tea. She's got nothing else to lose. I'm sorry. Did you say it's not inspiring them to buy tickets to her movies? No. Christie, starring Sydney Sweeney, had one of the worst opening weekends of all time for a movie release in over 2,000 theaters. MAGA loves Sydney Sweeney because she owns the libs, but they don't love her enough to watch a movie made by woke Hollywood.
When somebody lobs you the absolute easiest softball question of your life, what you don't do is dodge the question. What's that? Your new movie Christie's currently breaking records for worst box office opening weekend in film history? Are you somehow surprised that your base of genetically superior inbreds didn't go out to pay $15 to see a movie about a queer female boxer who struggled with domestic violence? On the film's opening weekend, Christie grossed only $1.3 million. Just for perspective, Hocus Pocus grossed $1.9 million in its opening weekend as a re-release in 2020! But it's okay, Sydney, you keep those great genes of yours because you're gonna need them to get any more roles in the future.
Now, was that Hocus Pocus 1, 2, 3, or 4? Huh? Yeah, they did make a fourth one. It's about Erykah Badu and how she wooed Andre 3000. That was my favorite one, if I'm being honest. Well, I mean, it's not like this whole MAGA turn has infuriated your existing fans and support network. So at least you have that to lean on. Euphoria Season 3 fans furious at Sydney Sweeney's MAGA ties as Zendaya allegedly refuses to promote her. Imagine how Christy Martin feels. Once seen as inseparable on red carpets and social media, Sydney Sweeney and Zendaya were celebrated for their friendship and camaraderie, but recent reports suggest the relationships between the Euphoria co-stars may have cooled with political differences at the center of the speculation. Sweeney's recent films, including Christie, have failed to make a major commercial impact despite strong casts and positive narratives. Earlier this year, Americana, a neo-Western thriller, also struggled at the box office, highlighting the challenges the rising star faces amid increased scrutiny. According to reports, Zendaya is hesitant to join press calls for Euphoria Season 3 with Sweeney, who recently wrapped filming. Fans and media outlets have speculated whether this distance will influence the show's promotion or affect their on-screen dynamic. So wait a minute. So what you mean to tell me is she multiple bombs in? She multiple bombs in this year? That's bad. What you laughing at, American Eagle? Oh no, it's some smoke for you too. You're not just getting kicked out the mall.
MAGA sweetheart Sydney Sweeney had a bad month. First, she came out with her American Eagle jeans. American Eagle. You know, the ones that are made in China, Bangladesh, India, Vietnam. Yeah, those jeans. So her campaign for those jeans launched on July 23rd. 4 days later, in-store visits were down 3%. A week after that, in-store visits were down 9%. That's just the jeans. Then her movie, Americana, opened. Oh yeah, Americana. Everybody was waiting on that, especially MAGA. MAGA wanted to go see Sydney Sweeney. Not too many people went. So it came in 16th place at the box office. Yes, 1-6, 16th place. But the box office gross, what do you think? 50 million? 30 million? 5 million? Nah, 500,000.
Well, I can tell you this. If you really want to go all in on MAGA, Sydney Sweeney, which seems to be the necessary conclusion to this. If you really want to go in on all in on MAGA, you got to do a full right-wing rollout. A full right-wing rollout. Give them something they could really dip their bare, unwashed feet into.
Sydney Sweeney's new MAGA fan base failed to turn up for Christie. Because Sydney Sweeney, failed to read the room. Failed to release a limited edition Tiki Torch popcorn bucket. Like, did she even try? Why wasn't concession selling ivermectin gummy bears? Where is the soundtrack mumbled by Kid Rock? Where is the Mar-a-Lago movie premiere? Why does this movie portray victims of domestic violence in a positive light? Did you not get the memo, Sydney? If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say that's a crime. You couldn't even get renowned method actor Pete Hegseth to play her abusive husband. You need to give your fans what they want. Emma Stone's new Begonia movie had people show up with their head shaved. And why couldn't you get all quirky with your fans and, ask them to show up with their heads hooded.
Well, Maga, did that sound like a good time? No? You not with it? This is where people always go off the rails. Name one MAGA who said or suggested that Sydney Sweeney should make a movie or that she could act. You can't, because there are none. Wow. So you mean to tell me you had a fully active base on the left? You decided to not only make the ad, but to double down on the ad and to push and be pulled by the white supremacy that adopted the ad, and then want to turn back around and try and weaponize the same audience that you dunked on and ignored. I wonder if this situation might rise to the level of something that you care about. I wonder if the feelings of the people that have been supporting you this entire time might rise to the level of something that you care about. And something you maybe should have cared about was the conditions of the careers of those that have followed in your footsteps. You think it was just by coincidence that they always had Kid Rock at all the Trump MAGA events? You thought it was a coincidence? You think they just really liked James Woods' work? And he decided that he didn't want to work in Hollywood no more. He just wanted to be on X all day, posting offensive things. That's what you thought? Apparently, that's what you thought. Apparently that's what you thought.
Sydney Sweeney's downfall. You might be thinking, what downfall? I keep seeing her. That is because you are being force-fed Sydney Sweeney. I'm glad we're all waking up to it. Mom's B-Day party. Why is your mom wearing a red hat? More importantly, why are you posting it on your social media? And then when people had a problem with it, you were like, oh my God, it's just my mom's birthday party. So you don't want my mom to celebrate your birthday? Is that what you're saying? That's the first glimpse into the darkness. Remember that movie she did with Glenn Powell? He had a wife and Sydney was really touchy. She said in an interview, female solidarity is fake. Anytime I see this word, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not even gonna take you seriously. Beef with Zendaya. You're gonna beef with Spider-Man's girlfriend. No one's gonna support you. Pointless brand deals. There should be no reason you have a 31 Flavors collab. I don't know who your publicist or manager is, but you should probably have a conversation with them. You not only made a really offensive ad and agreed to be in it, but you also uploaded a video of yourself crying on the internet when everyone got offended. That's like the one thing you don't do. Animosity towards women, but still expects them to buy her movies. This is what blows my mind. Sydney doesn't really go out of her way to be warm and fuzzy to women, but she still expects them to go out of their way, pay money to see someone that doesn't like them. No one's doing that. That's why the movie Christie flopped. Last one, Jeff Bezos party. You're at a Jeff Bezos party? Why would people relate? It all comes down to this, the current state of the world. People can open their phones, open the news, turn on the TV, and something bad is going to be on that TV. It used to be like that all the time, but now it's really bad. Wars, people are hungry, ICE kidnapping people. After watching all of that content and feeling bad, why would someone turn on Sydney Sweeney so they can feel even more bad?
Now, Maga, it's not often that you get this from me, so honestly, cherish this moment. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I am proud of you. The same way I said on Thanksgiving that the consistency of bigotry and intolerance that was displayed by the America First MAGAs, not just to make it an anti-black thing, but also make it anti-Latinos, anti-Muslim, anti-Hindu, anti-Jewish, that level of consistency. MAGA, you had on your plate the ability to push, like truly push a MAGA star, and to support her work as somebody that could advance your agenda of white supremacy. And you said, that movie's about what? Wait, who else is in that Euphoria? I can't even do it. I can't even do it. No. That kind of career turn, Sydney Sweeney, makes about as much sense as the CEO of Tesla deciding to go all in for Trump authoritarianism. It makes that much business sense what you chose to do. But you know what, MAGA? I'm proud of you. I'm proud. Y'all gonna have to come with a new saying for the go woke go. It don't. Yeah, that y'all gonna have to figure out a new thing.
That's why genitals, I don't care if you're black or white, are a third the size they were of a 1960s male. So the media makes jokes about that a few months ago when I gave the example of, if your daddy's Johnson was a foot long, yours is 6 inches long. And if yours was 6 inches, your son will be 3 inches. And the one with them won't even have a penis.
As for you, Sydney Sweeney, something a lot of people don't realize, the people behind Fox News, who, by the way, love the American Eagle ad. They loved it. They played that for a week, and there was real news going on. Yeah, they basically are a television equivalent of libs of TikTok. They did the exact same thing. So the people behind Fox News, did you know they also own Tubi? Yeah, they own Tubi. I mean, it's a lot of, it's like Maga. It's a lot of us on there right now. And you can only guess what that content is about. You can only guess what we're doing in those films. I think that might be a match. You know what I mean? I think that might be a match. If anybody would rock with you now at this point, you know what I mean? It would be Tubi. And really, you should go where you are appreciated and loved. That's what I can't wait to see the outtakes. I cannot wait.